Okay, hey everyone. This is my video about Sony's, E3 conference. They talked a bit about Vita. They talked a bit about PS3, and then finally they talked about PS4 and actually showed off the console. They made one statement about, entertainment, media services, just carrying over from PSN, from the whole PlayStation 3 setup to the PS4 setup. Um, and then they went on to talking about games. The PS3 games, of course, they showed off. Beyond Two Souls, The Last of Us, um, and a few other games. But they showed off a lot of the good games that are supposed to be coming to the PS3 before they moved on to the PS4. Now, in the last video I made, I talked about the Xbox conference, and I said there were some points that I was gonna make in this video because they were better. Well, they're better suited to this video. So, Sony, right off the bat, they addressed our issues. Because we all had issues like, are there any restrictions with the system? Are there any internet connection requirements? All that other craziness since we know what Microsoft pulled with the Xbox One. And Sony came out and said, right off the bat, there is no used games restriction, there is no internet requirement, and there is no mandatory system check to see if you are online. They came out and said all of that. So, if you buy a disc-based game, you can do whatever you would like with it. They came out and said that right away. They also didn't need to clarify this, but obviously the PlayStation iCam is not required. It comes with your system, but it is not required. They also addressed what other issue did they address? Actually, this isn't more of an issue, but this is something people keep getting confused. Sony said, Jack Trenton on stage, he said, all the PlayStation Plus services will carry over onto the PlayStation 4. And people keep misunderstanding that. They keep misinterpreting that as, oh, we gotta pay for PSN now. No, that's PlayStation Plus. That's the premium service. PSN is still free. Because before PS Plus was, up and running, we had our accounts for free, and if we wanted the service, we paid for it. That's how it worked. So, it's not like Xbox Live. You don't have to make a gold account, you don't have to make a silver account, and pay a subscription. It's free. So, don't confuse PS Plus with PSN. Because PS Plus is a part of PSN, but when you get it, it's used on the account you bought it on. Not like the Xbox where you have to make a completely new account. So, that's something to keep in mind, definitely. And another thing, Sony had an impressive lineup of games. They had a lot of good ones that we've been waiting for. Final Fantasy Versus 13 became Final Fantasy 15, which I knew was gonna happen, so it was no surprise to me. And it was like, wow, well, finally we're getting the game. Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced, which is surprising because we were starting to think we'd never get that. Um, you know, uh, Elder Scrolls Oblivion online, we're getting that. I'm like, wow, that's coming to PS4. Um, they showed a lot of great games and stuff. Infamous The Second Son, they showed some gameplay aspects to that. Assassin's Creed 4, they showed that. I was like, there were some good games at Microsoft's conference, and the good ones were multi-platform anyway. So we'll be getting some of them on the PS4. And, all the PS4 games, all the games they showed at Sony's conference for PS4, it was like, wow. And when they show off the system, it looks simple and small. it reminds me of the PS2 in a lot of ways, which is nice. You know, small is nice, not like Microsoft's cable box. That's what a lot of people are calling the Xbox One, and that's what it looks like, a giant cable box. It's like, we don't need that. So, PS4, I'm, I think the design looks great. Like, you know, some people don't care about design, but I think the design does look nice. Um, while the games graphically might not look as amazing this generation from both systems, they look more or less almost like they did the last gen. They do look great, and this time it's all about the system's infrastructure. PS3 had a hard infrastructure to work with, and now PS4 is more accessible for developers, and Sony has, you know, adopted the whole model of including developers, making it easy, making every developer making the system easy friend. I'm trying to find the right term to describe this. Accessible, friendly for every developer, indie or major AAA developer. And they showed off a few indie games, which, you know, it's nice to see that they're promoting the idea of like, hey, come to our system, come make something for our system. That's actually, you know, that has me feeling more hopeful than I was before the conference, because I will say that before Sony's conference, I was not hopeful. You know, with all the rumors going on about using, with Microsoft it wasn't a rumor, but with Sony it was like they could be trying to implement the same thing, but they weren't, and they addressed that right there in front of us on stage. Whereas Microsoft, they, like I said in my Microsoft conference video, they try to gloss over it by showing us games and just ignoring it altogether. They had the chance to address it then. They were going to have a post E3 roundtable discussion. They canceled it. So they canceled another chance to let us know what was going on. And now, you know, it's too late to go back. So for now, it looks like Sony has won this generation. Although this is early to say, that's what it seems like right now. Not to mention the price point. I mean, Xbox One is $499 here in the US, and 309, I mean not 399, 599 euros for Europe. So it's more expensive in Europe, and it's like, no, they're scaring customers away. And it's like, the system is really not worth it for all those draconian features it has. But the PS4 is, you know, $399 in the US and 399 euros for Europe. So it's like, wow, that's amazing. It's $100 cheaper, and this is more or less like history repeating itself, because the same situation happened between the original PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Although Sega Saturn, their price was $399, like Sony's PS4 right now, but the original PlayStation was priced at $299, so it was $100 cheaper, and eventually ended up winning more customers over. So it's basically that same situation, only now it's, you know, a new gen of gaming, the fourth gen for PlayStation, the third for Microsoft's Xbox, and it's like, wow. So the thing that Sony's taking back the everything in the gaming industry by force, like, and consumer support, that's a good thing. And some third-party developers are actually making some great decisions. Like, I thought I would just throw this in here because I heard the news and I have been meaning to make a video, but have not. I'm happy that, you know, Sega decided to localize Hatsune Miku Project Diva F, which is the fifth game in the music rhythm series. And if you want a comparison, it's pretty much almost like Parappa the Rapper, but with Hatsune Miku, and All these songs in the game are actually very catchy and very original since they're all about this singer. It's not like karaoke or dancing games that just reuse Rihanna, Beyonce, and all the generic stuff we know over here. Um, and I actually have the Japanese version of the game, so I can say it's amazing because I've actually played Hatsune Miku. So it will be nice seeing this in the North American side, and I know it's going to be digital only in Europe, but for PS3 it will be localized in North America on disc retail and digitally. And Sega, they have already said for that game that they're keeping the songs in their original native language, so most of the songs being the game being Japanese and most of the songs being in Japanese have to stay that way. Because trying to dub them in English would ruin the melody, and that's a key part of the game, is since it's music and rhythm, is the melody of each song. But they are looking into adding the option for localized subtitles so that people can understand it easier. And with all the feedback they're getting a greatly positive response for this. Even response with people asking for the Vita, that's still positive because it tells you that people actually want to play it, whether it's on PS3 or whether it's on Vita. There are people that are excited for this, and there are people that are disappointed, and there are people that are excited but still wish it was on the Vita. So that's all good news. But anyway, I thought the PS4 conference, a lot of people might think the games weren't all that great, but compared to Microsoft's conference, I think this was actually amazing. Microsoft, they had a chance to address the issues, our main concerns that were things that were really bothering us, about how the system works with all their restrictions, and they didn't. And I'm glad Sony addressed those issues. Otherwise, had they been trying to do the same thing, as Microsoft, I would not be getting a PS4. I would not have it in consideration. I don't have an Xbox One in consideration because of their draconian features. And I do want a Wii U. I don't have money like that, so I don't have one right now. But eventually I'll end up getting one. As well as the PS4, I'll be getting that because Sony has done the right thing, they addressed the issue, so that puts my mind at ease because I would have been depressed if I couldn't enjoy the next gen of gaming. I mean, it was getting to the point where it was like I was starting to build up my PS2 library, cause yes, I still play my PS2. But it was getting to the point where it was like, okay, if things are gonna go that draconian route, I'm gonna go back to playing my PS2, my PS1, just retro game in that case. And I'm glad I don't have to do that. Well, I mean, I can go back and play, but I don't have to do only that. Anyway, that's all for this video, and hopefully I'll make another video soon. Bye.